Hey, this is Canary Quilts, and today I'm going to work on the January 2025 Fat Quarter Shop Sew Sampler box. This box was different, a little different, because it gave us some English paper piecing. It gave us almost everything we need. Actually, it would have if you didn't want to glue your templates to do an English paper piecing project. So I thought what I would do is go through this box, utilize everything in it to start working on the pattern they gave us. So the 2025 box was called Embracing New Possibilities, and we got fabric, we got our hot cross buns pattern, we got the templates that we need for English paper piecing, we got needles, and we got thread. So today what I'm going to do is just kind of walk you through how to put a block together by English paper piecing it. I think it's fun. It does take some time, but a lot of us have time sitting sitting in front of the TV or in a car, or like I talk to my son almost every day on his drive home from work, and that can take a while, so I sit in English paper piece while I'm talking to him. And I've already gotten 3 pieces done, so today I'm going to take you through this piece right here from beginning to putting it on here. Now, this pattern has white X's in here. I am not doing the white X's. I don't want a 50-inch table runner, so I'm going to do something much smaller, just utilizing the fabrics that are in here. So the fabrics were Sunday Brunch. They were charm packs from Basic Gray, and we got 3 of them so that we can utilize almost all of the fabrics in our English paper piecing. So hit the subscribe button, notification bell if you want to get this type of content or all the other fun stuff we do here. And let's go down to my desk and see what this is all about. So if you're new here, this is Fat Quarter Shop Sew Sampler Mystery Quilt Box that you can subscribe to each month. And this is from January 2025. It's called Embracing New Possibilities. What we got in the box is 3 charm packs of Sunday Brunch, which is a motif fabric by Basic Gray. We got a bonus item of these 10 needles, John James, size 10. We got hot cross buns English paper piecing quilt pattern. Plus there was another quilt pattern in here that wasn't English paper piecing, in case you didn't want to do English paper piecing. And the thread. We got this scan fill organic thread, 50 weight. I thought what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through what we got in the box to put this pattern together. You will need a few other things also. Oh, and there's I forgot these, the templates that you need. They're it's what goes around the fabric. So those are all in here. And I am not putting the white. You see the white X's? I am not doing the white X's. I'm going to make a shorter table runner. This one is 59¼ inches, and I don't want that long. So I'm not even going to bother with the white X's. The other things I am going to use, I don't need this right now, is Sew Line glue stick, which I think we got in a sew sampler a few months ago. And I went out on Amazon because I'm doing other English paper piecing, and I bought like 12 packs of the refills, and each pack has 2 in it. So the other English paper piecing I do have a lot more pieces, and sometimes it takes a whole stick to get all the fabric and papers put together. So I will have everything linked that I can down below if you're interested, but that's a Sew Line glue stick. And I got this needle minder in the Fat Quarter Shop's Cupid mystery box for Valentine's. It's a very strong magnet, and I use it to hold my pieces together when I'm sewing. So that's what the box is. I also want to let you know that there were instructions in these templates on Learn to English paper piece. It shows you to baste them on and glue them on, and I'm gluing. All right, I'm gonna set these aside and get set up. I'm not gonna do these right now, but you can see what they look like when they're ready to go. What I'm gonna need is 4 of these shapes and 4 triangles. So I'll get these out and I can set this aside. That's all I need to do one block, is 4 of each. Also, I need to pick my colors. I need to pick the triangle color and the X color. So let's see, I did light triangle, dark triangle, so let's do a light triangle. Do we have any really light colors here? There's a stripe in here. I could show you how to line up the stripes like I did here. So I'll do the X in a stripe, and you need 2 of the pieces from the charm pack to do a stripe. All right, you need 2 charm squares for the X, for the X. And then we need to pick our corners. So what would be a good corner? Looks like a good corner to me. So, oh, and what I did before I did anything was I did yellow, orange, red, pink, neutral tans, and blues. You don't have to do that. Just kind of separates the color out so you don't have to like really fight through them. But that's what you need. So for the triangles is going to be my tan, and these are going to be my stripes. Let's start with the stripe. I want to cut my stripes horizontally. I'll cut them at the same time, and we need 2 of them. And I'm going to cut, it says 2 1/4. I'm just going to cut 2 1/2. So we need 4. There's 1. Cut all the way. And 2. So this is like paper piecing. These don't need to be exact. It's nice when you can cut out these shapes, but you can always just lay your shape down and cut about a 3/8 to a 1/2 inch around it. All right, so that's for those. And then for the triangles, I need a longer ruler. We're going to cut on the diagonal twice. There we go. It's all in the pattern also. All of it's in the pattern. So there's my triangles. Okay, let's get set up to put my pieces onto my fabric. So let's start with these. Let's cut all 4 of them at the same time. I'm going to put one of my pieces here, just centered. And I'm going to trim, like I said, a pretty good seam allowance. Like that. There we go. So let's take one of our pieces. I'm going to turn it over and you can still see the stripe. So what I want to do is put my point, these points in the middle of one of these, light or dark, it doesn't matter. I'm going to choose light, I guess. So you can see that the middle of my point is on a light stripe, and I still have plenty of seam allowance, and it's also in the middle of this light stripe. And that's what I'm going to do on all of these. I'm going to pick a light stripe and center my points in there. All right, so let's take our glue. I'm going to start and do these 3 sides first. So I'm just going to put a light layer of glue across. I'm not going to put it on the edge because as you're sewing you don't want to start grabbing the glue, but it's a pretty light layer, but it's enough to hold it down. All right, there we go. Now I'm going to do the same thing over here. I'm going from the fabric over the paper to the fabric and then fold that against the edge. And the same thing over here. Fabric to fabric, edge, and fold over. There we go. Turn it around. We're going to do the same thing. Light glue, fold and press, light glue, fold and press. This one you can't even see the paper. And there we go. That's how, whoops, that's how you get your paper on. Actually looked like my point ended up on the edge, so I'm just going to try to do that. So let's grab this one, and I have put my point on the edge of the blue and the white, because that's what that one looks like it is. And let's move it down to be, all right, so this is the blue stripe is on the bottom edge of my point, so that's what I'm going to do here. Bottom edge. The blue stripe's on the bottom edge of my point. Let's try not to move it, and start gluing. And that's how I'm going to do all of these. I'm going to line them up so that the points are exactly the same as the other ones. Oh boy, that one's so big you can't even see it. All right, so when we put these together, let's try this side. That one seems to work the best. So that's how I line up my, do the best to line up my stripes. So I'm gonna finish these out. There you go. I ended up kind of moving them around so they did fit a little bit better, but you can see that I can line my stripes up pretty good. So that looks pretty cool. So anyway, that was a good way to show you how to put your papers on, but also kind of try to match up your stripes. So those are done. I will figure those out later. Actually, I know what I'll do. I am going to clip those so I know which sides to sew together. So if I clip these, I know which sides to sew together, and that way they'll stay intact with the stripes. There we go. All right. So these are going to be the same thing. Got to get these glued on, and how I glue these on is I center it, and then I do the top edges first. Put your glue on, a light layer, not against the edge, and press it down, fabric to fabric edge. And then this side. And we've got quite a tail going on there, so I am going to just kind of come close to the edge and trim it off. So that's how we do the triangles. I always start from the top so that my edges flip, but my bottom edge flips up like that and makes that tail easier. I don't have like tails all over the place. All right, so I'm going to finish up these triangles and then we can start sewing. Okay, there's my triangles finished. Remember, I marked with my clip the side that I want to sew with these. I've gotten a needle out and I've gotten a piece of thread, which is plenty long. And actually, first I want to tell you, I did mark these because I wanted them to match. But what we're going to do is we're going to put these two together and then these two together, and that way we'll have a straight edge across to put together instead of doing one next to each other like that. All right. So, thread the needle. And I'm using the thread I got in the sew sampler. I'm using the needle I got in the sew sampler. I just give myself a little tiny tail and push it through. Keeps the thread. Sometimes it happens on the first few tries, sometimes it does not. There we go. Pull this through pretty far. All right, do not knot it at the end because we're going to knot it on here. So now I'm going to take my needle minder. Because it's such a strong magnet, I am going to put it on both sides of this so that it holds it together. Grab my needle, take my clip off, and I'm going to start right here on this corner, and I'm going to send my needle through just the top edge, not the paper. Top few threads of fabric, and I'm going to pull it through and leave a tail. Then I'm going to hold that tail, send it through the same holes, and then I'm going to just take it through my loop twice and pull it tight. There's my knot. Now I'm going to take this tail and I'm just going to sew it right into what I'm working on. So I'm just going to move down a little bit, and I work this way so I can see where I'm pushing through the fabric. Again, across the top of the paper, and yeah, that bugs me when that happens. It gets caught. And pull it, and then so I caught that tail, so now I should be able to catch it every time. Move down a little bit farther, grab a couple of threads of fabric, and keep on moving. I've seen different, like how many threads you should have. I think I saw someone said like maybe 10 stitches per inch or something. When I first started, I was doing them so close together and I finally just figured out I do not need to do it that close together. So just keep skimming across the top of your paper, and when we get down here, what I usually do is there's this seam allowance right here. I just usually pull that back out of the way and hold it, and we will sew down to the corner. All right, I'm in the corner. I'm going to do a regular stitch, just a normal stitch, but then I'm going to come back through the same holes and go through my loop twice to make a knot. Then I'll just take my thread under here like this and just cut it there. Just kind of bury that tail. All right, see if I kept it together. That's pretty good. All right, so this one's going to be exactly the same thing. Put my magnet on to hold it together and start sewing. Put it through, hold your tail, put it through again and knot it. There we go. Now I'm going to bury my tail as I sew through the rest of it. Not bury it, I guess, just sew it into my seam. All right, I finished it. Tied it off, buried my thread in there. And now we're going to put it together along this edge. And those stripes look pretty good. So we'll flip it over, and just like with normal quilting, I guess, line up those two seams in the middle, and you can kind of see my stripes here are lining up really nice. So I'm going to take my magnet and put it on here. Holds my pieces together. There we go. I ended up getting a longer piece of thread after that because it was pretty long, but I just don't want to stop. I don't want to have to rethread halfway through or anything. All right, I'm ready to go. I'm going to work this way because I'm right-handed, and just like I did before, I'm going to skim the paper, grab some threads on each side, hold my tail, and send it back through and go through the loop twice. And I'm going to sew to the seam, and I'll come back when I get to the seam. I've made my way to the seam. I'm going to put a stitch in where those two seams meet, and then I'm going to tie it off right here. I tie it off every time I meet a piece. Even if, say, the back piece was just one piece and there was one seam here, I would still tie it off there. It gives it more strength. Now I'm going to go through the next two pieces with a stitch and then repeat and tie these off at the beginning. So grab my loop, go through twice, and then keep on stitching and tie it off at the end. I finished putting them together. That turned out pretty good. I'm happy with that. All right, so the next thing is to put our triangles in, and I'll tell you what, English paper piecing Y seams is way easier than doing it on a machine. So these have to go in individually. So I'm just going to do these one at a time. So what we need to do is flip it over, line up our points, make sure the points come to each side, and we're going to put our magnet on, and I'm going to get another piece of thread. So I'm going to start exactly the same way I did before. Pull this, I'm pulling this tail, whatever you want to call it, out of the way. I'm going to start on this edge and pull it through. And it's paper, so you can just kind of bend these things to your pieces too, so you can hold it. I need to bend it even more. And knot it off. We'll bury our tail as we go. So I'm going to sew right down to this corner, and I'm going to tie it off. And I'll show you how we turn this. So I'm about halfway through, and I just wanted to show you that I found it easier to fold this one over. So you can do that with the paper. It's not going to be a problem at all. I'm down to the corner, and I'm going to treat it as if I'm at the end. I'm going to put a stitch in, and then I'm going to put a knot in. go through the loop twice. Okay, I'm going to come around back and just kind of stick my needle over here. Keep my thread in the back. Take this off. Now we want it to fit on this side, so we're just going to turn it over, line up my points. I'm going to fold that piece of paper right over and put my magnet on, grab my thread, and now I'm going to work from here to here. Pull this out of the way. I'm going to throw this in and put a knot in. Go through the same holes. There we go. And now I'm just going to stitch all the way to the end and put a knot in there. So Y seams are way easier. I'm at the end, I threw my stitch in, and now I'm going to knot it off. Bury the thread. And let's take a look. There we go. Well, that's going to be a pretty block. So that's how you do these triangles. I'm going to get the other 3 put in exactly the same way, and then we'll add it onto our 2 blocks we've got up here. Finished it. That's what it looks like when it's all sewn together. So leave the papers in. I leave the papers in as long as I have an edge to sew on. So I'm going to leave the papers in all of these. Now, this is going to go on to this row, just like this. I'm going to turn it over, line it up. Put my magnet on. I have another needle minder. I have several of these. This one is from the Liberty box last year. So I grabbed it to put my needle on and get some thread and show you how I'm going to sew this one. All right, so I told you I tie it off every time there's a seam. So I'm going to start sewing from the right, tie it off here, sew to here, tie it off, come over to here, tie it off, sew all the way over to here and tie it off, start sewing here and tie it off, and then tie it off here at the end. So when I get to each one of those points, I'll show you what I'm doing. I've gotten to the end of these 2. I hate it when it gets caught on the edge. Okay, so I pulled a stitch through and now I'm going to tie it off. So these seams are kind of sticking up, so I'm going to do my best to push them down. And come here and go through these 2. Pull it tight. I'm going to actually go through once more and pull it together. And then tie it off. All right, so now I'm going to tie it off. Get the right loop. There we go. Bugs me when it gets caught on the corner. Go through the loop twice. Okay, now I've tied it off. So now I'm going to sew along here and tie off over here. I'm going to do the exact same thing. Tie it here, start here, pull it tight, tie it off, and then go to the end. There you go. I've got my piece sewn on right here. I would usually keep all the pieces in until I had another row on, but I'll take a couple out up here because this is going to be my top row and this piece is out. I'll take out this piece just to show you what it's like. There you go. And then you can iron that back down. So let's take this one out too. And you can as long as these pieces are still in good shape, you could reuse them for something else. So I've got my little ironing pad here. And I'm just gonna iron those seams back down. There we go. That one still has the paper in it. I could glue that down if I wanted to, but it doesn't matter at this point. So there you go. There's everything I think you need to know to English paper piece with the items. Most of the items that you have in your box you can use. The sew line glue stick was not in the box, but they're not that expensive to get, and I use them on all kinds of other things. And I think that's it. I think that was the only thing in the box I have. Oh, the needle minder. I didn't have a needle minder or a magnet of some sort to hold my pieces on. All right, so there you go. The January 2025 Fat Quarter Shop Sew Sampler with the English paper piecing items in there. I utilized everything in the box to show you how it worked, and I put together this top row of my table runner. It is not going to be as big as this one, and it's not going to have the white X's. So that's where I'm headed with this. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you would do something differently, and let me know if you're going to give it a shot. I think it's fun. It's a good thing to do while you're sitting and watching TV, or if you're on a long phone call. That's when I usually do it. My son calls on his drive home from work, and that can be a while, so I just sit there and English paper piece. So hit the subscribe button, notification bell if you want to see this type of content and all the other fun stuff we got going on, and check out all the links down below. I do have links to the sew line glue stick and to the sew sampler box opening if you're not familiar with the sew sampler boxes. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye!